Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? This is Colin, back at it again with another episode 17 of A New Direction, the podcast where I talk about all sorts of things and just sort of give my advice and opinions on different topics, and we just kind of have a chill, laid back time. And today I actually have a new sort of format for us, a new style, a video that has kind of been requested by some friends and family, and that is a story time sort of video. And so I figured I would talk about something a little personal to me, so kind of give some personal stories and whatnot, and kind of go in depth and kind of give a lot of details. So we'll kind of see how this goes over and, see if it's an enjoyable format for us all. But like usual, we're going to start off with the music recommendation. Still not going to break the precedent. So today we are recommending the album Dope Smoker by Sleep, which in my opinion is like the quintessential like stoner metal album. It honestly doesn't get much more stoner metal than this. I mean, it's literally one long track that's like over an hour long. It's just an insane monolithic album. And so, given its notoriety, I guess, as a stoner metal album, and Sleep in general being a very successful band, stoner rock, stoner metal in general, just kind of Matt Pike, the guitarist, kind of having the stronghold grip over that sound. He definitely created some very intense riffs that just pound you over the head, and it's just obscenely heavy with this album. And so if you're looking for something that is just obscenely heavy and just something that's literally like a musical journey, being that it's, like I said, over an hour long, you definitely get your time's worth with this one. It is definitely a journey, a lot of, ebbs and flows and crescendos and, slower, more mellow parts throughout. I mean, it's just, it really is a journey and something that's got to be experienced to understand. But just in general, I can't even give like, notable tracks for this one, since it's literally like one song or two. There's Dope Smoker, and then Holy Mountain is also like a 12-minute track that's featured on the album, at least on Apple Music, I think. And so, I can't really give a notable track since both of them, I mean, they're kind of the same and similar. So, overall, the album gets an 8 out of 10. Dope Smoker's a great song. But, with that being said, that's a music recommendation. Definitely something that I would recommend to somebody who's trying to dip their toes into stoner metal and see what it's all about. It's definitely like the innovation and sort of pioneering sound, I would say. But with that being said, we're going to jump right into the story time. And so I'm going to introduce the topic first. And so today I'm going to be talking about like my gigging history as a musician, and kind of like, over the years, the different gigs I've played and my mentalities going into them and what led up to everything. And, I figured it would be kind of interesting stories to tell, because I've played a few gigs, in my day. And so, like the last episode, this might run longer than 30 minutes. We'll see. But I'm just going to talk about that. And then I'm also going to talk about some future endeavors that I plan to, or would like to, make reality. Kind of just a dream right now. But we'll get into detail with that later. But starting off, so my gigging history as a musician, I was in the middle school band, and so I had a lot of experience like playing music, going to concert performance assessment and getting judged. And, I was in percussion at the time. In the band, I was a percussionist, a battery percussionist. And so, I was kind of used to, having my music judged, I guess. And, performing for people and, having an audience. It was something that wasn't very new to me. And, I had learned drums for many, many years before I actually got my first opportunity to play like a gig. I started playing drums when I was like 3 or 4 years old. So, drums is definitely my first instrument. A lot of people maybe say that being that it's my first and most long-term instrument, it might be my best. But in general, drums have always had a big impact on me as a musician, and it's where it all began for me, and so I'm very grateful for that. But my first gig that I played was in 8th grade, and it was a talent show. It was like the middle school talent show or whatever, and me and my friend Devin, not the Devin that I hang out with and kind of have talked about before, but another Devin, who, if he's watching, shout out to him. But it was me and him and this girl named Cece. And so I was on drums. Cece did the vocals, the singing, and the guitar, and Devin played the bass. And so we did a cover of Seven Nation Army. Yeah, that was the song by the White Stripes. Very stereotypical of kind of first band song cover or whatever. And I remember kind of leading up to it. It was very spur of the moment. As far as my recollection serves, I remember CC had kind of approached me about playing drums, for it, and Devin had a bass. He had mentioned about, playing bass and whatever, and so it was a very spur of the moment type deal, and we took like a band picture, if I remember correctly. I don't even think I still have it, but we took like a band picture, and it was really goofy, and we took it very seriously. For a talent show. I think we had even come up with like a name or something as well for our little group. But, leading up to it, we didn't really rehearse a whole bunch. Like, we had like one practice, I think, between like deciding that we were going to do it and actually performing. We only had like one standalone, or maybe two like standalone practice sessions. And so, it was very interesting, I guess being my first performance where, I was, learning music with other people and having to play along. And, being the drummer, I was also kind of the backbone of the band with the metronome and the timing and everything. And so it was very different, especially considering how little time we had to actually rehearse the music. But day of the show came, and I remember we got there really early and set up. And we had rehearsed. And, as far as we could tell, the reception from the setup people was all positive. We seemed to sound pretty decent. But time of the actual talent show came, and we performed. I can't quite remember when. I don't think we were closer to the end when we actually got up and performed, but we went and did it, played the show. I didn't mess up. Nobody messed up, actually. It was a really good, solid performance of the song. And, it was good. We came in second place for that talent show. So that's definitely something that kind of stands out to me a little bit looking back as far as my music career. That was really my first gig. And then following the talent show, or following the performance in the talent show, I actually had another performance that I did in the same, event with my band director. He did like an acoustic song, and he wanted me to just play like some slow kind of, down-tempo drums with it, and so that's what we did. But that wasn't really like a judged thing. That was just almost like an interlude of the, the talent show. It was kind of weird. It was like a break, I guess, and he played, and it was cool. I got to play along with him. But following that was in 8th grade, so that would have been in 2016, I want to say. Yeah, 2016. So I didn't really have anything else go on with music, as far as live performances go, until 2019. And so this was a very big thing for me. So I'm excited to talk about it. But I've mentioned the band Acid on the podcast before. It's my brother's band. I think my first episode, my album recommendation was Cyclicality, which is their most recent release. Fantastic album. But the same band. In 2019, or it may have been like late 2018, when we figured everything out and started, getting everything together. But I know it was at least in 2019. We kind of had determined that, or I guess Connor and Parth, who were the primary members, had determined that I guess they wanted to try to play some of their music live. And at the time, the self-titled Acid, I think it's an album. I don't know if they would classify it as an album or an EP. Parth, drop it in the comments and let me know. But that had kind of just come out fairly recently, and so they kind of wanted to play it live, just to kind of test the waters of playing live music. And it was something that none of us, other than my bout at the talent show, had ever done before. We had never actually played like a gig, at a venue, with random people there who were not there because of the event itself, like a school-sanctioned event. none of us had ever had any actual gigging experience, and so they had decided that they wanted to sort of test the waters and see if we could play some of the songs off of the album or EP live. And so they recruited me as drummer and my buddy at the time, Dustin, for bass. And so it was me, Connor, Parth, and Dustin as the live members. And we kind of got together and start practicing, and we had quite a few practices leading up to the first gig that we played. I remember that because I want to say that first gig was in March of 2019. So, we had been practicing for a solid 3 or 4 months, maybe. I think 3 months total. But I remember, first going into it, the music was very different from something I had ever really played on drum set, at least as far as like extended performances. A lot of blast beats and higher tempo things, which of course I love. I love that in the music that I personally listen to and write. But, at the time I had not, I had very little experience with playing that style of music. And, as a drummer, it requires a lot of stamina and endurance to maintain such high tempos and such, fast techniques. I mean, blast beats are, as the name implies, they're quite intense. And so, they require a lot of effort from the drummer to play, especially for long periods of time. And these songs were very long, 5 or 6 minute long songs that had a lot of long blast beat sections. And so, going into it, I was a little concerned about how I was going to, stack up. And I only had a single bass pedal, so no double pedal for this. It was all 1 foot blasts. And so, I was a little nervous about it going into the practices, but the first few went solid. My legs held up, my arms held up. We started to learn the songs, and it was kind of funny because, we were all kind of growing as musicians and kind of developing a chemistry between us because, none of us had ever, performed live, much less performed even together, other than Connor and Parth, writing the music. And so it was kind of fun just to goof off and learn the songs. And, at this time, Parth was even relearning some of the like the guitar riffs from the album, because there were a few months in between the release and the decision to play live. And so, he had kind of had to relearn some of the riffs as we went along. But, over time, over the months of practice, we would meet every weekend or every other weekend, I want to say. Usually it was like every other weekend. And we would meet at Parth's house in his basement, and we would, jam and go at it. And, I have a lot of fond memories from Parth's basement, not only just, practicing for the acid gigs, but also, recording my own song. There was a song I did in 2019 that I recorded at Parth's house. It was like a Black Gaze kind of Death Heaven inspired track with blast beats, and maybe I'll drop that, honestly, or at least, upload it as a, something separate, because it was honestly a really good song. Kind of very proud of it even today, looking back, however many years ago that's been now, two years. Just kind of seeing, I guess, how my songwriting has developed in that time. And, it was really ahead of its time as far as me, very well put together. So I'm very proud of that song. But, regarding the acid practices, it got to the point, we were getting the set compiled together. I think we ended up playing 5 songs from the EP, and so we ended up playing most of the main songs. I think there were a few interlude tracks on that EP, and so we ended up playing all of the main songs except for one, I believe, because we didn't have enough guitars. But time finally came. It was March. We had built up to this moment, and so we went to the venue, which was a bar that Parth's dad has connections with, and was able to get us in there to play. And so we set up on this like random night. I want to say it might have been like a Friday night or something like that. It was not very crowded at this time, so maybe it wasn't a Friday night, but I don't know. We pulled up to the venue, set up, and we played our set. We didn't have any monitors. We didn't mic the amps or anything. We just kind of had to set it up right then and there, get the most raw sound we possibly could, and go with what we had. And so that was the first gig. It was very much a raw experience, and it was a lot of fun. In hindsight, looking back, I absolutely loved playing that first gig. It was very invigorating, I guess. Like I felt very confident as a musician, having gone through and played that set, and we all held it together and made a very cohesive performance. And so I thought it was really cool, and that definitely kind of spawned my love for music even more, proliferated it even more. And so that first gig was really a lot of fun, and definitely a monumental kind of milestone for me as far as my music career. But that was not the last gig that we did with Acid. A few months later, I'm honestly not sure. I want to say it may have been May or June of the same year, so 2019. I want to say, I think it was June. At the same venue, the same bar, hosted a Battle of the Bands competition. So this was a little more serious. This was like an actual gig. Rather than us just kind of one-off showing up and performing for whoever was there. This was like an actual event. And so we got on the the show, I guess. And the poster, I might actually be able to still pull up the poster from the event. Our band name Acid was at the very bottom of the poster. We were the last name. But despite that, we went back to the Par's basement to practice, and since we had been fairly fresh off of the first gig, we didn't have too much to worry about because we pretty much were going to play the same set. But we definitely practiced, and being that this was an actual event and kind of like a competition, if you will, we definitely wanted to make sure we were as well put together and cohesive as possible. And so we definitely worked on ironing out a lot of the kinks and sort of minor things to really get our performance as strong as it could be. And so that was a few months. Like I said before, it was every other weekend at this point as well. We were meeting up to practice. And I distinctly remember the day of this gig. We were going to drive. I rode with Dustin in his car. It was a Durango, a 98 Dodge Durango SUV, and it was a real piece of shit. But we packed up the drums, and we used an electronic drum set. That we ended up running direct into the PA, and so we packed everything up into the Durango. And we drove over to the event, and we were the first band to actually play at this event. We were the first ones to get up on stage and actually perform. So we went up and started setting up, and it was, there were definitely a lot more people at this event, and so I was a little bit more I wasn't necessarily nervous, but a little more on edge, just seeing that there were actually more. There were people there to enjoy the music, and the other bands that were there were taking it really serious. They had merch tables and everything. And, our little one table spot, we had 5 CDs, or 10 CDs total. I think we had 5 for the self-titled EP that had just came out. And then the previous release, Patchwork Landscape, we had some CDs for that as well that we made. And so, fun fact, all of those CDs, I'm pretty sure, or at least a lot of them, got bought by one guy who was very, very drunk. And I remember he kind of stumbled up to our table before the event started, and we had set up, but we were waiting on the performance to actually begin so we could get up on stage. And we were just kind of chilling out at the merch table before we got on, and this drunk guy stumbled up to it and was like, are y'all Acid? I think he had said something along those lines, and we were like, yeah, we got some CDs here. And he was looking, and he's like, I'll take all of them. So he ended up buying, I'm pretty sure, all the CDs we had, at least for one of the albums. I think he bought all of the self-titles, or he ended up spending a good little chunk of change as a drunk guy who probably didn't even realize that he was doing it. But he bought the albums, gave us money, so shout out to that guy. Hopefully he enjoyed them. Very solid albums as well. If y'all want to listen to them, I highly recommend them. They're on Spotify and Apple Music and everything. But with that being said, the performance began, and we got up on stage, and this was very different. We had PAs, and there were lights, strobe lights and everything, and it was an actual performance. I think there may have even been a fog machine or something, a small one, but it was very serious. in comparison to the first gig that we played. And so it was definitely a very different feel and vibe. And I remember they mic'd up the guitar amp, I'm pretty sure, or the bass amp. I think we left the bass amp unmiked, but we did mic up the guitar amp, and then we ran the electronic drums direct into the PA. But I had no monitors, and so I couldn't hear myself all that well through the PA, since it was in front of me for one, and it was, projecting outwards, and I'm sitting at the very back of the stage. So, I kind of had some issues with hearing myself, but overall the performance was solid. I do remember messing up a few parts in some songs. Like I distinctly remember, playing a blast beat too early in the third song we played, because it was immediately stuck out to me in my head when I did it. But otherwise, that was pretty much the performance. We played the same set from the first gig, and our hard work and practice had definitely paid off. We delivered a really solid performance, and the band that went after us was this metalcore band, and they were awful. And so we left after that. We did not stay for the last two acts, unfortunately. I mean, I did have school the following night, I think, or, it was the weekend, so I was going to have to, get ready for whatever I was doing. But we ended up leaving following our performance. But that was the two gigs that I did with Acid. And then after that, we never actually did anything else. And to Connor and Parth, who are listening to this, we should definitely gig some more. I would like that a lot, or at least, come up with some I guess material that we could play live. That would be just cool, I think. But, scheduling as an adult is very difficult. Time doesn't always work in our favor, and it's kind of hard to get us all together at a time that's convenient. So, it's a process, but hopefully Acid will be able to get back on the stage one day and perform some music. And I would especially love to perform some of the music from Cyclicality. I know a lot of it's very ambient and would require probably a sampler at least to do, but it would be a lot of fun to perform the parts on there. But with that being said, those were the gigs and kind of my story time as far as the gigs that I've played. Other than that, and the school stuff, like I mentioned before, those are the only gigs that I've ever really played in my life as a musician in a band. However, that's not to say that I don't want to. I would absolutely love to be a touring musician. That would honestly be my dream job, would be a touring musician. But with that being said, I wanted to talk a little bit about my project with Devin, my good friend Devin, that y'all are familiar with at this point. Me and Devin actually have our own band. It's a black metal band called Gryndl, Gryndl. Very metal, I know. But it's a black metal band that we started, and it's definitely something we're taking pretty seriously. Devin has just fairly recently, within the past month or two, I think 2 months now, has started learning the bass guitar, which is something that I'm very happy about, something I'm very proud of him for picking up, because music is fun, but it definitely takes a lot of determination to pick up and learn a new instrument. And so he got the bass and started learning, and we've been trying to to kind of work on material, work on getting him up to snuff with playing and learning. And I think that Gryndl definitely has the potential to be a future gigging act. We already have kind of somebody who will be a drummer, or at least a stand-in drummer for the time being, somebody we can rehearse with and practice with. And so, Gryndl is definitely shaping up to be something that, with enough ambition, practice and determination, I think we could definitely turn into an actual gigging band, playing actual shows around the local area. And that would be really cool. Playing live music is definitely a dream of mine. And it's something I've done before, but I would love to just be able to be on a stage and play live music, especially original material, for just a crowd of a whole bunch of people, and just see everybody cheering and getting in the mosh pit and just having a great time. That's just a dream of mine, to be able to have my guitar on stage and do that. And I guess a big driving factor for me would be the new guitar that I ordered. Still haven't received it yet as of the recording of this one. But, that Japanese guitar I ordered, the Les Paul, and the show and the look of it is definitely something that inspires me to keep working on learning material, writing material, and trying to get some live stuff going on. And as far as Gryndl, I honestly don't really know what our first gig might be, like where we would perform at. I know that, we have the same venue that Acid performed at, a few years ago. But, being that Parth's not really involved with that, it might be a little bit difficult to set that up. But, I guess it's just going to be asking around the local area, finding somewhere that we would be willing to host us. Maybe going to our old high school. That might be a good entry. And for anybody who's listening who has any experience with kind of setting up gigs or finding gigs as a band, just for, some exposure, definitely leave some advice in the comments or hit me up personally. I would definitely love to hear y'all's take on that because, live music, like I said, is something that I would absolutely love to pursue more in my life. Definitely something that I'm passionate about. And, I definitely think that performing your own original creations, there's something very something really cool about it. Something that I find very, motivating and satisfying. Like, you've put together this song, this creation that you've spent a long time working on, and, you've put a lot of emotion into it. And, you get to perform that and express that in the most intimate way with other people and get to perform it live in front of them. I just think there's something about that kind of experience that can't be replicated. And, I love listening to music. I love, playing music and, writing music and everything in general. And I'm sure a lot of y'all have kind of picked up on my love of music through the podcast, and just, playing live music is a dream of mine. And with Gryndl, I definitely look forward to kind of seeing what we're able to do with that. Maybe see if we can get an actual gig set up or something that we'll be able to, make work and, maybe use as a way to get our footing in the live performance kind of scene in our area. Because as far as I know, kind of where I live, there's not a lot of, interest in black metal. I don't really know if there's any, a lot of interest in black metal anywhere. Like, you're probably not going to go to like any town in America and find like a black metal, clique or niche or whatever, niche. But, it'd be cool to kind of get our name out there, especially, with, the local areas, local towns, maybe kind of establishing a name for ourselves and getting something going with that. Definitely would be something that I would love to do in the future. And so me and Devin are definitely going to continue to work on that. We will definitely see how it goes. But with that being said, that pretty much sums up this episode, episode 17 here. Story time was definitely kind of fun. It was nice to get more intimate and kind of talk with everybody about how, how my live performances as a musician have went down in the past, and kind of what I hope to accomplish in the future in the same, realm. But if y'all liked the story time sort of format, I would definitely love to, get some feedback on that, and I would love to do more videos. So if y'all like it, definitely give me some feedback on it. But with that being said, this has been A New Direction. I'm Colin, and stay chill out there. I hope this video finds you all in a positive space in your life, positive mindset. And if not, just keep going, keep fighting, keep grinding. Everything will work out. But with that being said, I will see y'all next time. Stay chill out there.